So that's what I think. And even GPP use green background, and WUFI use red.
Yes.
Because red is very strong, had to be very enthusiasm that we have, that we are strong will. So that's red is sort of like represent us. It's really strong. That's how. And so the design always is island there, and that's the reason. Because the symbol is hard to look for.
If a new constitution is going to be drafted, what do you see as important issues that should be addressed?
There are 6 different versions back to 1992. So today we are really not worried about we have constitution or not, but we need the specialists, those people professional in constitution, to adapt whatever suit or adequate to the Taiwan situation now and future, and come with a draft combine, pick up all from those constitution, different draft from different scholars. So the problem is how we make it work. That's why we propose that's World Taiwanese Congress to form a committee, and the committee will report to come out with a draft or constitution, and then we have people vote by referendum. So what's important is, of course, what is Taiwan, where to define, and the identity, and the future.
Yeah, I think basically the structure of the government, whether you're going to stick it to this old government structure with 5 branches, didn't work well. And there's no such a thing in the world that with 5 branches of government. And also probably redefine territory, name, since our seat shouldn't be there for a long, long time. So, all this important issue, and those had to be resolved. And but to me, the Constitution, if you look at whether we want to be like United States president is a powerful figure, or you want to be the parliament. That's had to be decided. But still, look like all the experts prefer the United States system, but not a whole set. But the 3 branch of government, and also presidential. President is a main power, and I think that's probably gonna go that direction. And the detail, I think the most important is the territory had to be clearly redrawn. Look at the map; it's a joke, right? It's a map. RC Constitution still, it should change any map had to go through change the Constitution. So this is even though it's a small thing, how sounds small, easy, but that's what you cannot blame change. Why don't you print it right map? How? Because Constitution already say that that's ROC territory, including Mongolia. So those had to rewrite. Had to be rewritten. Like small thing like that. Even the map. That's why education. The book had to rewrite.
The current constitution in Taiwan we call Nanking Constitution. This was drafted prior to 1945 in China. That's people of China, nothing to do with Taiwan. Yet today we are still using Nanking Constitution. That's why Dr. Fong said, if you look at the website of the government of Taiwan, map of Taiwan, up to a couple months ago, still including China, Mongolia, Taiwan. That's territory of Republic, so-called Republic of China. But Republic of China, that's a name. People's Republic of China used as a membership of United Nations. That's why People Republic of China got so mad. Hey, you're using our name. That's their membership name in United Nations called Republic of China. Yeah. Not People's Republic of China.
They inherit that seat. That ROC seat in the United Nations. So it's not PRC joined United Nations is not a new member. It just changed.
Yes.
Just move in. Just like a pass on, ROC pass on to PRC. So in United Nations, you notice they won't put PRC in their representative desk. They put China only.
I was wondering, when you consider your political actions, how much do you take into consideration the threat of mainland China and how they might retaliate or?
Yes, we do. Concerned about that. But first we had to know their strengths, and we also had to know our strengths. And in order to show our strengths, we had to let our neighbor or friend know that what we can do. And most countries, even though there's no diplomatic relation with Taiwan, but they know Taiwan is a sovereign country. So it depends on how this threat always there. That how you look at how you decide what you want to do, at least you do it, you publicize it, your intention, so that the whole world know you're going to do something. And then in that case, if because of the threat you are not doing anything, that's the worst. And KMT has been doing that for a long time. They won't deal with the issue. And I don't know you can really suppress people's expression of their identity, their national identity. I mean, the people right now, they want to have one side, one country. Why Chen get elected? I'll be very clear because of that. Chen was very careful before, but why he switched it? Because that's a mainstream thought. And I think this, we have to consider threat, but so have to carefully evaluate how we're going to do it. But how to publicize, that's my main point, is you have to publicize what you want to do, what intention you want to do.
That's why we have 228 hand in hands. Remember, got a million of people show up, more than 2 million. That's to show the strength of people. It's today on political arena and worldwide. It's not a big country could take small country. Not true anymore. United States could not do with Vietnam. Russia, Soviet Union, remember, couldn't take care of Afghanistan. So same thing, a big territory of China is not necessarily will be able to take Taiwan by force, because it's all different interest consideration. Of course, very important, Dr. Fong say, people in Taiwan had to let the rest of the world know what they want. They want Taiwan be Taiwan. So, yes.
Are you guys pretty confident that the referendum, the Constitution will pass?
Yes.
Yes.
This time, last March 20, referendum, so-called did not pass. But if you look at the yes and vote no, they're about 10 times different. Vote yes, majority vote yes. But there is a referendum law by KMT. They dropped that. They say the vote has to be considered all qualified. Those people not necessarily vote. They took the entire population, those who are qualified to vote, as 100%. You have to pass 50% of that. That's not true picture. United States, most of the time, about 40%, 60% people vote. What about majority? Come, our proposition, statewide, nationwide, all the same. So that's law we need to change, that need to pass qualified vote of 50%, but should change to those who cast a vote, majority vote come. So if you look at that, both referendum pass overwhelmingly this time. So we believe in the future, once we let people know, we get the control of legislature yen, then we'll be able to change that law.
It's the sort of like a minimum requirement of people to get to vote. So didn't pass. It doesn't mean that the referendum not passed because the number of people get to vote is less than 50%. They need over 50%, and there's a party encourage people not pick up the vote, not pick up the ballot. So if you don't pick up the ballot means
You don't count.
it don't count. So that's how and also very interesting if you analyze it, because the first time referendum, most people don't know what this means. Some old gentlemen and old lady in the countryside all their life never able to vote this. So DPP asked for vote 100, 100 means that 1 is number 1 of presidential candidate. 00 means yes, yes, not stamp on the cross. And they only know vote for number 1. So the second referendum, they didn't vote because they said vote for number 1. And so the number 1 has more than the second one.
Also those.
So it still need education about referendum. Yeah, right.
And this is some trick on the casting the vote. What's there? My mother, 93-year-old, she cast presidential vote. Then the people there say, okay, you could go out. And we say, hey, wait, she need to pick up the referendum vote. So they get to her. So that they put a trick there. You look at presidential election on the candidate on the other side, Len Chen, Song Suu-yi, they never pick up the vote for referendum. Including Mayor of Taipei City, Ma Ying-jeou. He didn't pick up that either. So that's why this time we couldn't get 50% of people to really pick up the vote. We lost so many because people really didn't know what's referendum because they never had experience of that. So we need to tell them more and more, say that's their basic rights.
Well, no, go ahead.
Aside from writing letters and self-education, are there any other forms of advocacy that you would recommend?
Join organization, on campus, join student organization, and I think that's very important. The organization, well, I encourage you to study more of not to be medical doctor, or if you're interested in politics, which you or humanity, or other area. I mean, Chinese parents always try to get their children study certain field. I hope that your generation probably start changing that.
I encourage you to visit the website. I just get to you, WUFI. There are 2 websites, one for United States, one for Taiwan. You could go to both of them. But if you go to Taiwan, there are more up-to-date articles, both in more English, Japanese, Chinese there. Then from there, you could write them article as well. You could publish there. It's open to public.
Yeah, so my question is basically, suppose in 2008 or 2006 the referendum passes, right? And Taiwan, in that sense, because it has its own constitution, in that sense becomes sovereign. How do you think that will affect, say, like people like my grandfather who came from China and has spent the rest of their entire lives in Taiwan? For them, are they Taiwanese? You know?
I think it's
Because half the island is like that, and the other half of the island is Taiwanese. So how will that affect the dynamics?
Yeah, I think your identity is from your emotional attachment to the land or the society, right? So like your grandfather, that generation is gonna be very hard to accept that I'm Chinese. It's hard, but I think the constitution is not gonna restrict. I'm pretty sure. My picture is this. It's not gonna be that easy. I can see Chen now recently interviewed by Washington Post and by Wall Street. I can see that he said that there's nothing to change the status quo. the only way that to change status quo of Taiwan is unification. You can see the argument. I support this argument because Taiwan, whatever we do to fit as a country, there's no need to declare independence. That's how Australia is going to do. We are not changing status quo because we don't. People still here. We are doing everything. Only all government structure being changed. See, basically, I think he's going to emphasize that. Nobody can deny that, right? So, in fact, change status quo is a unification. Is a change status quo. That exactly that we have to insist on who changes status quo. Not Taiwan referendum or anything. It's not changing status quo because they never want to claim territories over. That's why we had to rewrite it. That your territory is not including whole China. I mean that's basic structure, government structure I mentioned. The constitution had to rewrite it. Individually, how to accept? I don't know. Some people willing to live in China instead of Taiwan. There are a lot of them live in China now. So
There are more story cover on those retired Chinese military personnel. They came from China a long time ago. They consider them Chinese, so they retired. So in China with it. And eventually they find out those Chinese point to them and say, you are a Taiwanese.
Taiwan.
They refuse them to
They
say you are
don't-
Chinese.
they
They say,
don't
you are
accept them
Taiwanese.
either.
Then they come back to Taiwan and say, well, who am I? Am I Chinese? He went back to China. Nobody say he's a Chinese, he's a Taiwanese. In Taiwanese, we don't say they are Chinese, we say you are Taiwanese. If you say you are Taiwanese, you are Taiwanese. That's identity, so easy. But it's a mindset. That's what people like that
Mindset.
changing now. That's why majority of people in Taiwan now toward Taiwan, as used to be identified themselves as Chinese. It's less and less percentage now. So it takes time.
By changing the constitution, is that going to in any way facilitate Taiwan's entrance into world organizations like the United Nations or WTO or all those?
yeah, that's the
Is that-
first benefit.
So, just as long as we have this new constitution, it'll qualify us to.
Because the constitution made that allow that the official name, you know, you don't fix, you don't say that we are continue ROC. Maybe say, oh, you know, it's Taiwan or whatever. It's a very convenient name that being used by international news media. News media always call Taiwan Taiwan. Only the newspaper translate back to Taiwan, they change it. Whenever international news media use Taiwan, they say ROC. So it's one of those that people already get used to it, call Taiwan Taiwan internationally. Only your own people not call yourself the right name. I think that's my thinking. Yeah.
So if you look at the newspaper across the country here, when it was President Lee or President Chen, which is United States, if you look at newspaper, always say Taiwanese president. Never say any Republic of China
It's,
president. That's
It's pretty, yeah, it's after, you know, it's really confusing for some other people. But now the media, no, they are not confused. Only people on Taiwan are confused. But they are not confused. Because for a long time we are not allowed to there's one test, or I just show my fellow graduate student in Berkeley. I said, look at, they censor my mail. Everybody, not me. I'll demonstrate to you. So I put a tape, scotch tape. I don't use glue, scotch tape. My father wrote me back. He said, well, why did you put a scotch tape? The post office asked me to go there to pick up because it's open. Because it's open. So he had to go there to pick up. So demonstrate that. It was censored. So anyway, that was the 70s. Terrible.
so I believe we are conference or in the future of Taiwan. If we keep working on the heart, Taiwanese heart is there. And we are very happy to see that changing since 1992. I visited Taiwan for 31 times because I want to make up for the last 30 years ago. So that is a great future of Taiwan. The international arena will be Taiwan, as Taiwan. Great future.
Okay, so we're basically running out of time. So right now you're supposed to meet with your small